So today, my presentation is going to be on ocean acidification. So the outline for my presentation is going to be what is ocean acidification, the skeptic's view on ocean acidification, why should we care about habits of the ocean and ocean life, three marine organisms affected by ocean acidification, and can something be done? Um, so carbon dioxide is a naturally occurring gas in the atmosphere. Um, Plants and certain algae use carbon dioxide to grow. Carbon dioxide is exhaled by animals. But carbon dioxide is also generated from the burning of fossil fuels. And in larger amounts, it can pose negative consequences, one of which is ocean acidification. Um, the atmosphere touches 70% of the Earth's surface. 30 to 40% of the carbon dioxide emitted by humans ends up dissolved in the ocean. So carbon dioxide essentially is changing the chemistry of the ocean and challenging ocean life. So if we look at this picture, carbon dioxide dissolves into the ocean. It reacts with water to form carbonic acid. Carbonic acid dissociates. We get an hydronium ion and a bicarbonate ion, and then bicarbonate can further dissociate into carbonate and another hydronium ion. Um, the increase in hydronium ion causes a drop in the ocean's pH, and this phenomena is known as ocean acidification. Um, in uh, in 1751, the ocean's pH was 18.25. In 1996, the ocean's pH was 8.14. This was a 30% increase in ocean acidity. And in present time, we see this increase in acidity as it will start impacting marine life in a negative way. Um, At the current rate of carbon dioxide emissions, it is projected that the ocean acidity may increase by 100% to 150% by the year 2100, um, which is a pH around 7.8. And this drastic change in pH may cause the extinction of many organisms that inhabit it. So if you look at this graph, this was taken in Hawaii. So the left side is the partial pressure. No, this is the carbon dioxide in ppm. The right side is the pH, and the bottom is just years. So if we follow the red line, we can see that over the years, the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere is increasing, and the blue line shows that the carbon dioxide concentration in the water is increasing. And as the concentration in the atmosphere and seawater increase of carbon dioxide, we see that we have a drop in pH. So this is showing that ocean acidification is happening. I found a nice quote that was just saying that the ocean's power to create life is rivaled by ours to destroy it. So the ocean acidification argument. Um, skeptics to ocean acidification often say that carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere increases and decreases naturally throughout history, and that there was a natural acidification that occurred 55 million years ago, and that it will all the acidification will all correct on its own. Um, but the This is true, but the difference is that the rate of acidification is currently being experienced is 10 times faster than the natural acidification that occurred 55 million years ago. Marine life has not experienced such a rapid change. This change will ultimately result in the mass extinction of multiple organisms. So if you look at this graph, this is carbon dioxide versus ocean pH over the last 100,000 years. As you can see that carbon dioxide concentration and the pH have fluctuated up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So the argument from the skeptics is that basically that if it does go too low, it'll just correct itself once again. Um, yeah. So why should we care about what happens to the ocean? Well, the ocean, certain species protect ocean from the ocean, protect the coastline. So, an organism called coral reef buffers the shoreline against waves, storms, and floods, and this helps prevent loss of life, property damage, and erosion. So when these reefs are damaged because of ocean acidification, we lose their protection and the natural barrier. We lose their protection, which is a natural barrier, and if there's no coral reefs, they get stronger wave forces coming in, and it can cause damage to coastal communities when there's a violent storm. So in this picture, it's showing healthy coral reefs, and it's showing that these coral reefs significantly reduce the wave energy um, when waves come. But in the bottom measure below, it's showing that a degraded coral reef doesn't provide the same protection it would. So waves reach further out than they normally would. All right. Why should we care about the ocean? The ocean regulates climate. So as you all know, carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, and it contributes to climate change. So one of the great benefits of the ocean is that it absorbs carbon dioxide, and that's why it's called the planet's biggest carbon sink. It helps lower the carbon dioxide gases and it helps lower the concentration of carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere to an extent. But if the carbon dioxide emissions continue the way they are, um, it will increase ocean acidity or become a problematic for the ocean. So we have certain species in the ocean, called phytoplanktons. They live near the water surface and drift with different currents. So they're like plants. They do photosynthesis. So meaning they use sunlight, carbon dioxide, and a byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen. Scientists believe that phytoplanktons contribute about 50% of oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere. So these phytoplankton are also affected negatively by ocean acidity. So if we lose them, we will be affecting the oxygen concentration on the Earth. So food, in 2016, commercial and recreational salt fishing in the United States generated more than 212 billion in sales. The ocean provides food for the entire world's population. Also, if one organism becomes extinct, the organism that feeds on it will not have enough food. Then the organism that feeds on that organism will not have enough food, and the chain will continue until it eventually affects us and the food that we eat. Um, Jobs. The fishing industry generated 1.7 million in jobs, and it also produces jobs for coastal communities which have a low employment opportunity, which have low employment opportunity. So the ocean and the ocean life not only provide profits from food and jobs, they provide economic benefit as well. So there's not only environmental benefit, there's also economic benefit in protecting the ocean and keeping marine life healthy. Um, so let's talk about some certain ocean acidification effects. So um, marine life is regulated by proteins and enzymes that require a certain pH to perform optimally. And when the pH is disrupted, this can disrupt the efficiency of those proteins and enzymes. So, like this diagram is showing how enzymes have a optimum pH to function, and then if it becomes too acidic or it becomes too basic, it affects the rate of reaction. The ocean acidification has also led oysters to have a decrease in protein concentration as related to the immune system, metabolism, and cytoskeleton formation, um, leading to poor, leading to less oysters being harvested by the seafood industry, which which could affect us negatively if we have less oysters for for selling them or just giving people jobs. Um, ocean. One of the main effects of oceanification is on organisms that produce calcium carbonate. So calcium carbonate is the building block for skeletons and shells of many marine organisms, such as coral reefs, mollusks, and crabs. But the downside is calcium carbonate is very soluble in low pH. So um, the carbonate that results from um, ocean acidification will bind to the hydronium ion, making bicarbonate, and this reduces the carbonate available to bind with calcium, and this will reduce the overall calcium carbonate. So organisms that use calcium carbonate can't repair damage that may be done to their skeletons. This forces more energy demand on these organisms to maintain their shells and the further dissolution of their shells. This is a Bergson plot, and it's just showing how carbon dioxide, bicarbonate, and carbonate, which one of these species predominates more at a certain pH. So the lower the pH gets, we have less and less carbonate ions, and we have more bicarbonate ions. Um, yeah, that's all about it. And the less carbonate ions that we have to, the less carbonate ions we have, the less carbonate ions we have, the less calcium carbonate we generate for organisms that need calcium carbonate to survive. Um, Going back to coral reefs, I remember that coral reefs use calcium carbonate to make up their exterior. They protect shorelines, like I said previously. Um, they support 25% of all marine life in the ocean. So the destruction of coral reefs affects other organisms other than ourselves and the coral reefs. Um, so when coral reefs are destroyed, this can lead to possible damage of properties, loss of marine life because coral reefs support 25% of marine life, loss of human life because people can die of people can die if the coral reefs don't protect them from the waves, and damage financially to repair the damage of coastal areas. This was a experiment done on a petrobras shell that's made of calcium carbonate. They placed it in water of a pH of 7.8, which is the projected pH of 2,100. And within 45 days, the shell was completely dissolved, showing that species that use calcium carbonate in their shells are, are unable to exist in acidic pHs. One of the most important species that are affected by acidification is phytoplankton. So certain phytoplankton use calcium carbonate to compose their exterior. Scientists believe that phytoplankton contribute about 50% of the oxygen in the atmosphere, and there's a certain type of phytoplankton called a coccolithophore, and it produces a chemical called DMSP, and DMSP is involved in cloud formation. So some scientists believe that the more coccolithophores die because of ocean acidification, because remember coccolithophores use calcium carbonate in their exterior. The more coccolithophores die in because of ocean acidification, this will reduce the production of clouds. And if we have a reduced production of clouds, this will reduce the albedo we get from clouds and increase the rate of global warming. And the final organism that will be affected is probably an organism that most of us are familiar with, baby clownfish. So the increasing acidity has been shown to affect clownfish' ability to detect chemical signals necessary for navigating and locating their homes. So this effect is particularly severe in baby clownfish that are unable to locate a suitable hiding place and are much are at a much higher risk from predation. So what can be done? For the health of the ocean and our own health, we must reduce carbon dioxide emission The scientists from the Potsdam Institute of Climate Impact Research in Germany say that if we were to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere at a rate of 2.5 times that of the current annual emissions, the oceans would now recover to a low emission state by 2700. And that is my presentation. Here's my works cited page. And yeah.